My wife announced, "We've decided you're getting divorced." With her friends watching, I said, "Okay," and walked out. 2 weeks later, she was sobbing outside my hotel room, saying I ruined her life. Hey Reddit. 2 weeks ago, my wife Anna gathered her 3 best friends, Lauren, Kristen, and Beth, at our house in Phoenix. She sat me down at the dining room table like I was about to be fired and casually announced she wanted a divorce. Not discussed. Not suggested. Announced. Her personal cheerleading squad sat there nodding along as if she had just revealed the cure for world hunger. I looked at her, said, "Okay," grabbed my keys, and walked out. What followed was the most calculated 2 weeks of my life. Buckle up. I am 37, male, a corporate logistics manager for a major distribution company based in Phoenix. The job is not glamorous, but it pays around $95,000 a year plus performance bonuses that usually add another $15,000 to $20,000. I handle supply chain operations, vendor contracts, freight negotiations, and I make sure thousands of products move from warehouses to retailers without the company losing money on delays or damaged goods. I started with this company 12 years ago as a warehouse coordinator making $32,000. I worked nights and weekends, took online courses in logistics management, learned freight software systems on my own time, moved up to assistant manager, then operations supervisor, and finally got promoted to my current role about 4 years ago. The grind was real, but it paid off. My job taught me one thing that would save my life later: how to stay calm under pressure and execute contingency plans. When a critical shipment is held up at customs or a supplier suddenly cannot deliver, you do not panic. You assess the situation objectively, identify your backup options, document everything for legal protection, and execute the solution methodically. That exact mindset became my playbook for what was about to happen. The house I live in is a 3-bedroom ranch-style place in a decent Phoenix suburb. I bought it solo about 3 years before I even met my soon-to-be ex-wife. I put down $40,000 from savings, took out a 30-year mortgage, and made sure my name was the only name on the deed. That house represented years of living below my means, driving a paid-off sedan instead of financing something flashy, and prioritizing long-term security over short-term gratification. My dad drilled financial responsibility into me from an early age. His older brother lost absolutely everything in a brutal divorce in the late 90s: house, retirement accounts, even a small landscaping business he had built from nothing. The ex-wife's attorney carved him up like a Thanksgiving turkey, and he spent the next decade starting over from scratch at age 45. Dad made sure I learned from that disaster. "Luke," he told me, "you protect what you build before bringing anyone else into the equation. If the relationship is solid, she won't care whose name is on the paperwork. If she does care, that tells you everything you need to know." That advice turned out to be prophetic. I met Anna, 35, female, about 9 years ago at a buddy's barbecue. She was working as an executive assistant at a downtown law firm and making decent money. She seemed driven and put together. We clicked immediately. We talked for hours that first night about career goals, travel dreams, the usual getting-to-know-you stuff that makes you think you have found someone compatible. We dated for about 2 years before I proposed, nothing dramatic, just a nice dinner at a place she loved, with a ring I had saved up for. She said yes and seemed genuinely excited. We got married about 8 months later. The wedding was nice but not crazy expensive, maybe $25,000 total, which we split. Her parents kicked in some money, my parents helped out, and we kept it reasonable. No kids came along, which was fine by both of us at first. We talked about having children eventually but always found reasons to push it off. She wanted to advance her career first. I wanted to save more money. The timing was never quite right. Looking back, I think we both subconsciously knew the foundation was not as solid as we pretended it was. The first 6 years of marriage were what I describe as functionally okay. Not passionate romance novel material, but stable and comfortable. We split bills proportionally based on our incomes. I made more, so I covered about 65% of shared expenses. She contributed to groceries and utilities. We took decent vacations, maintained separate friend groups, and had our routines. Anna handled our social calendar and coordinated friend gatherings. I took care of home maintenance, vehicle upkeep, and financial planning. Classic division of labor that seemed to work fine on the surface. But about 8 months ago, I started noticing changes. Small things at first that I brushed off as normal relationship evolution. Anna became increasingly critical of pretty much everything I did. The way I loaded the dishwasher was inefficient. My work schedule was too demanding and showed I did not prioritize us. I did not communicate enough about my feelings. I was too focused on practical matters instead of emotional connection. Every conversation felt like I was being evaluated and found lacking in some way. The woman who had been fine with our dynamic for 6 years suddenly had a running list of grievances about how I was not meeting her needs. Then came the friend group situation. Anna joined a yoga studio downtown and became extremely close with 3 women, Lauren, Kristen, and Beth. At first it seemed healthy. She needed friends outside our marriage, and I encouraged it. But the dynamic shifted quickly from casual friendship to something that felt more like cult recruitment. These were not occasional coffee dates anymore. These were full-day Saturday sessions that stretched from morning until dinner time, multiple weeknight meetups that lasted until 11 p.m., constant group chats where she would be giggling at her phone while I sat 2 feet away trying to have a conversation. Whenever I walked into a room where she was on video chat with them, the conversation would immediately stop or pivot to some generic topic. They would give me these looks, not openly hostile, but like I was an outsider interrupting an important classified discussion. I am not a controlling person by nature, so I did not make it a big issue. People need close friendships, especially women. I get that. But something about the whole dynamic felt off in a way I could not quite articulate. About 4 months ago, Anna started making odd comments that should have been bigger red flags than I treated them as. We were getting ready for bed one night and she dropped this: "Lauren says I've been settling for mediocrity." She said it casually while brushing her teeth, like she was commenting on the weather forecast. "What does that mean?" I asked. "Oh, nothing specific. Just something we were discussing about life choices and not limiting yourself to safe options." Am I the mediocrity she's referring to? Don't be so sensitive. It was a general philosophical conversation. I let it go, which was my first mistake. When you have been married almost 7 years, you develop this habit of letting small slights slide because addressing every little comment would turn your marriage into exhausting constant conflict. Pick your battles, right? Turns out some battles need to be fought immediately. The friend group escalated their influence over the next couple of months. They started having weekly empowerment sessions where they would read self-help books together and discuss applying the concepts to their lives. I knew about this because Anna would leave the books lying around the house. Titles like Reclaim Your Power, Breaking Free from Comfortable Chains, You Deserve More, Rejecting Mediocrity in Love and Life, and The Courage to Choose Yourself First. Now, there is nothing inherently wrong with self-improvement books, but these particular books all had the same underlying theme: your current relationship is probably holding you back, you are settling for less than you deserve, real fulfillment requires dramatic change, being comfortable is a trap that prevents growth. The kind of philosophy that reframes normal relationship compromises and stability as oppression and mediocrity. Anna also started making more comments about how her friends' lives seemed more exciting than ours. Lauren was dating some entrepreneur who took her to fancy restaurants twice a week. Kristen's husband just got a big promotion and bought her a new car. Beth was traveling constantly with her boyfriend who worked in sales. Meanwhile, I was over here being boring old Luke who comes home from work at a reasonable hour, pays the mortgage on time, and suggests we save money instead of financing a luxury vacation we cannot afford. The shift in her attitude toward me was gradual but unmistakable. I went from being a good partner to being the obstacle preventing her from living her best life, not because I had changed, but because her reference point had shifted from our actual life to some idealized version she had constructed with her friend's help. Then came the nuclear moment, 2 weeks ago, Friday evening around 6 o'clock. I pulled into the driveway after a long week of dealing with a supplier who had completely botched a shipment timeline. All I wanted was to decompress, maybe order some takeout, watch a movie with Anna, normal weekend stuff. The moment I walked through the door, I knew something was wrong. Anna was sitting at our dining room table with Lauren, Kristen, and Beth. They all had coffee mugs in front of them, and there was this palpable energy in the room, anticipatory, almost excited. "Hey," I said, setting down my work bag near the door. "Didn't realize we were having company tonight." "We need to talk," Anna said. Not, "Hey honey, how was your day?" Not, "Can we chat later when you've had a chance to settle in?" Just a flat declarative statement. The 3 friends were staring at me with expressions that were half sympathy and half satisfaction, like they were watching some dramatic season finale they had been waiting months to see. "Okay," I said slowly, reading the room. "Should we talk privately?" I gestured toward our bedroom, assuming this was a conversation that should not have an audience. "No, sit down. They're here for support." That is when my gut instinct screamed that this was not going to be a normal conversation. You do not need your friend group present as moral support to discuss vacation plans or home renovation ideas. This was something else entirely. I sat down at the table. The 4 of them were on one side, me alone on the other. It felt less like a marriage discussion and more like an intervention or a job performance review where the decision had already been made before I walked in the room. Anna took a deep breath, glanced at her friends for encouragement, then launched into what was clearly a prepared speech. We've been doing a lot of work on ourselves lately. Personal growth, self-reflection, really examining what we want from our lives and relationships. And through that process, we've come to realize that we deserve more from our relationships than what we're currently getting. I caught the "we" immediately. This was not about our specific marriage. This was some kind of group decision that happened to involve my life. What exactly does that mean? I asked, keeping my voice level. It means I want a divorce. The room went completely silent for about 5 seconds. I just sat there looking at her, processing what she had just said. I was not shocked exactly. Somewhere in the back of my mind I had felt the relationship deteriorating for months. But the casual way she delivered it, like she was announcing she wanted to switch to a new gym, with her 3 friends sitting there providing moral support for her brave decision, that part was surreal. A divorce, I repeated, just to make sure I had heard correctly. Yes. I've outgrown this relationship. You're a good person, Luke, but we're not compatible anymore. I need someone who challenges me intellectually, who sees me as a true equal, who pushes me to grow instead of keeping me comfortable. Someone who... I'm sitting right here, Anna. You can skip the prepared speech you rehearsed with your support group. Her eyes flashed with anger at being interrupted. This isn't a speech. This is me being honest about my needs for the first time in years. That is when Lauren decided to chime in. She deserves to be happy, Luke. You can't blame her for that. I turned to look at Lauren directly. I wasn't aware I was having this conversation with you. This is between me and my wife. Kristen immediately jumped to Lauren's defense. We're here because this is incredibly hard for Anna. She needs support during this difficult moment. The least you could do is be respectful. The absurdity of the situation was almost funny in a dark comedy way. My wife had just announced she was divorcing me with her personal cheerleading squad present to back her up, and somehow I was the one being told to be respectful and understanding. Okay, I said, standing up from the table calmly. If that's what you want, Anna, then okay. Anna blinked, clearly thrown off by my response. That's it? You're not going to fight for us? Try to change my mind? You just announced you want a divorce. You have 3 friends here to support you in case I got upset or disagreed. You've obviously thought this through and made your decision. What exactly am I supposed to fight for at this point? I thought you'd at least want to talk about it. Show some emotion. Try to understand what I'm feeling. I grabbed my keys and wallet from where I had set them down. You want emotion? Here it is. I'm not interested in being part of whatever social experiment you and your empowerment group are running. You want a divorce? Fine. We'll handle it through lawyers like adults. I'll be staying somewhere else tonight. Beth actually scoffed out loud. Wow. So you're just going to abandon her when she's being vulnerable and honest about her needs? I looked at Beth like she had just said the earth was flat. She's divorcing me, Beth. That's literally her choosing to end the marriage. But sure, frame it however makes you feel better about your role in this. I walked out the front door, got in my car, and drove to a decent extended stay hotel about 15 minutes away. Checked in for a week. The whole time my phone was buzzing nonstop with texts from Anna. The messages started angry. You just walked out? We need to talk about this. Then shifted to confused. I don't understand why you're being so cold. We need to discuss this like adults. Then moved into manipulation. I didn't think you'd just give up on us without even trying. I guess I know where I rank in your priorities. I did not respond to a single message. Instead I did what I do best when facing a crisis situation. I planned my response methodically. First call went to my best friend Tyler. We've been tight since college. He works in commercial real estate now and has seen plenty of divorces play out in his professional and personal circles. I gave him the full rundown of what had just happened. Dude, that's completely insane, Tyler said after I finished the story. She had her friends there like it was some kind of press conference announcing her decision. Yeah, it was surreal. You need a lawyer immediately, like first thing Monday morning. Don't wait. Don't think you can handle this yourself. Get professional legal help right now. Already planning on it. Tyler paused, then said something I had been trying not to think about. Bro, I hate to say this, but you should probably check whether she's cheating. That whole setup, the friends providing backup, the rehearsed speech about needing more, the sudden decision to divorce, that screams guilty conscience trying to control the narrative before you find out the truth. The thought had crossed my mind, but I had been pushing it away because I did not want to believe Anna would cheat. But Tyler was right. The pattern fit perfectly: sudden personality change, increased time away from home, friend group reinforcement, carefully staged divorce announcement designed to make her look like the reasonable party. Saturday morning I started investigating, but not in some dramatic, hire a private detective way. I just started paying attention to details I had been ignoring or explaining away for months. I still had full access to our joint credit card account through the bank's website. I started scrolling through recent transactions looking for patterns. That is when I found them. Repeated charges at the Marriott downtown, not random dates, specifically every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 8 weeks. The charges varied but usually included room service, parking fees, sometimes bar tabs. Anna supposedly worked from home on Tuesdays and Thursdays, at least that is what she told me when her company shifted to a hybrid schedule. I had no reason to doubt it. I cross-referenced the hotel dates with Anna's digital calendar, which we shared for coordinating schedules. Every single Tuesday and Thursday for the past 2 months she had blocked off 1 to 5 p.m. with vague entries like, client meeting, or focus time, do not disturb. But Anna was an executive assistant at a law firm. She did not have clients. She scheduled meetings for the attorneys she supported, but she did not meet with clients herself. I kept digging through the credit card statements. Found another pattern, charges at an upscale men's clothing store, $340 in one transaction, then another $280 a few weeks later. Designer stuff based on the store name. Anna does not have a brother. Her dad retired 5 years ago and lives in Florida, so she was not buying him gifts. Who was she buying expensive men's clothing for? The evidence was mounting, but I needed confirmation before making accusations. That is when I remembered something. We had an old iPad at home that Anna sometimes used for reading or watching videos. If she had signed into her iCloud account on that device and had not logged out, and if she had message syncing enabled. Sunday afternoon, while Anna was out doing God knows what with her friend group, I drove back to the house, let myself in quietly, went straight to the office, grabbed the iPad from its charging dock, and left. Total time inside the house, maybe 8 minutes. Back at the hotel I powered up the iPad with low expectations, but she was still logged in and messages were actively syncing from her phone. That is when I found it all. Months of conversations with someone named Blake. The messages were exactly what you would expect from an affair. Can't wait to see you Tuesday, counting down the hours. He has absolutely no idea, and honestly I don't think he'd care if he knew. You make me feel alive in ways he never could. Blake, according to his contact information and some context clues in the messages, was a personal trainer at Anna's gym. Of course. The cliché would be almost funny if it was not my actual life falling apart. I scrolled back through the conversation thread. The messages went back 7 months. They had started as friendly gym banter, progressed to flirty texts, escalated to meeting for lunch, and eventually turned into twice-weekly hotel sessions. One message from about 6 weeks ago stood out. Once you tell him you want the divorce, we can finally be together properly without all the sneaking around. You deserve someone who appreciates you for who you really are, not someone who keeps you in a comfortable cage. So this entire divorce announcement was not Anna having a genuine epiphany about our compatibility. This was Anna clearing the path for her relationship with Blake while simultaneously painting herself as the victim of an unfulfilling marriage. The friend group dynamic made perfect sense now too. They were not just supporting her decision to leave. They had been actively helping her justify the affair by reframing it as self-empowerment and choosing herself and refusing to settle. I methodically took screenshots of everything. Did not delete anything. Did not log out of the account. Just saved the evidence to my phone and laptop. Then I carefully put the iPad back in the office the same way I had found it. Monday morning, first thing, I had an appointment with a divorce attorney named Patricia. Tyler had recommended her specifically because she specialized in cases where one spouse was trying to gain an unfair advantage through deception or asset manipulation. I walked into Patricia's office with a folder containing printed screenshots, credit card statements organized by date, and a timeline I had created documenting the affair and the divorce announcement. Patricia spent about 20 minutes reviewing everything, then leaned back in her chair with a slight smile. Okay, this is actually more straightforward than a lot of cases I see. Arizona is a no-fault divorce state, which means the affair itself does not directly impact the financial settlement or give you special leverage, but it absolutely matters for context and negotiating leverage. Walk me through what happens next. I said, the house is entirely yours. Purchase before marriage, deed solely in your name, mortgage payments from your account. That's not marital property subject to division. Your retirement accounts have contributions from before the marriage which remain yours and contributions during the marriage which get split proportionally. Same with hers. The what about everything else? Any assets acquired during the marriage are considered community property in Arizona. Joint savings accounts get split. But given that she initiated the divorce, is actively involved with another man, and clearly wants out quickly to pursue that relationship, my professional assessment is she'll accept a reasonable settlement just to expedite the process. How quickly can we move? If she cooperates and does not fight every detail, we can have this finalized in about 60 days. If she tries to drag it out or make unreasonable demands, it takes longer. But my instinct says she'll want this done fast so she can move on with Blake. I authorized Patricia to file the divorce petition immediately. By Tuesday afternoon, Anna was officially served with divorce papers at the house. That is when her attitude completely changed from confident decision-maker to panicked crisis mode. My phone exploded with calls, texts, voicemails. I let every single one go unanswered. You filed for divorce. We were supposed to talk about this first. You can't just make this decision unilaterally without even discussing it with me. My attorney says you're being completely unreasonable and we need to communicate. The irony was so thick you could cut it with a knife. She had announced the divorce with her 3 friends present like it was already decided. But now that I had actually filed, suddenly we needed to have discussions and work through things together. Wednesday morning she showed up at my hotel. The front desk called my room around 8 a.m. Mr. Patterson, there's a woman in the lobby claiming to be your wife. She's requesting to come up to your room. Should we send her up? No, thank you. I'm not receiving visitors. Understood, sir. I could hear Anna's voice in the background getting louder and more agitated. I have a right to speak with my husband. You can't just refuse to let me up. The front desk calmly explained that I was a guest who had declined her visit and she needed to leave the property or they would call security. Thursday she tried ambushing me at work. Showed up at my office building around lunchtime and tried to get past reception. My assistant intercepted her before she got anywhere near my actual office. I'm sorry, ma'am, but Mr. Patterson is in back-to-back meetings all afternoon and is not available. I was not in meetings. I was sitting at my desk monitoring the security camera feed that covered the reception area, watching Anna argue with the receptionist for about 15 minutes before finally leaving with threats to make a scene if she was not allowed to see me. Friday afternoon, exactly 1 week after her carefully orchestrated divorce announcement, Tyler sent me a screenshot I needed to see. Anna had posted on social media, "Going through one of the most difficult times of my life as my marriage ends. So incredibly grateful for my support system and for finally having the courage to choose myself. Sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the exact same thing. Trust the journey." The comment section was predictably full of support. "You're so brave. Proud of you for prioritizing your happiness. You deserve someone who sees your worth." Lauren, Kristen, and Beth were all in the comments cheering her on like she had just announced a promotion instead of a divorce. But Tyler had sent me something else along with Anna's post. Blake's Instagram account posted the same day, "New beginnings with someone incredibly special. Life's too short to waste time settling for mediocrity when real connection is possible." They had gone completely public with their relationship while we were still legally married, while divorce proceedings were literally just starting, while I had not even responded to any of Anna's attempts at contact. They were broadcasting their relationship to the entire world. Patricia called me that same Friday afternoon with an update. "Your wife's attorney reached out to discuss settlement terms. What are they proposing?" Nothing remotely reasonable, which is standard opening strategy. They want the house sold and the proceeds split 50-50. They want half of your total retirement accounts and they're asking for ongoing spousal support. Classic overreach designed to anchor negotiations high. What's your counteroffer? House remains entirely yours. The deed and premarital purchase make that legally bulletproof. Retirement account split based solely on contributions made during the marriage, not total value. Her retirement gets the same treatment. No ongoing spousal support since the marriage was relatively short. You have comparable earning potential and there are no children involved. Clean break. Both parties walk away with what they brought in plus their fair share of marital assets. File it. The settlement offer apparently did not go over well. Patricia reported back that Anna's attorney tried pushing back hard, but our documentation was airtight. The house was mine. Period. My premarital retirement contributions were protected. We had only been married 7 years, nowhere near long enough to justify ongoing support payments in Arizona. Week 2 after the divorce announcement was when everything really fell apart for Anna's carefully constructed new life. First, Blake apparently got a major case of cold feet. According to Tyler, who heard it through a mutual friend who knew Blake's ex-wife, the ex immediately filed for a custody modification when she saw Blake's public Instagram posts about dating someone who was still legally married. She argued to the court that Blake was showing poor judgment and creating an unstable environment by openly conducting an affair with a married woman. Blake, suddenly facing the very real possibility of reduced custody time and increased child support payments, backed way off the relationship with Anna. Anna's social media posts shifted from confident declarations of choosing herself to increasingly desperate-sounding platitudes. Sometimes people show you exactly who they are when circumstances get difficult, and real love doesn't run away when things get complicated. It stands firm. The friend group started imploding too. According to Tyler's sources, he is remarkably well-connected in the local social scene. Kristen's husband found out about the empowerment sessions and what they had actually been: strategy meetings for planning affairs and exits. He filed for divorce himself, citing Kristen's affair that she had apparently been conducting with a coworker while attending these empowerment sessions. Lauren's long-term boyfriend moved out after she tried pulling the same divorce announcement stunt, and he had texts proving she had been seeing someone else. Suddenly the supportive sisterhood was not so supportive anymore. When everyone is dealing with their own consequences and legal battles, there is no energy left to prop up someone else's drama. Friday evening of week 2, Anna showed up at the hotel again. This time when the front desk called, I agreed to meet her in the lobby, not out of sympathy but because I wanted to see firsthand how her confident decision-making was holding up. She looked absolutely terrible, hair that had not been brushed in days, eyes swollen and red from crying, wearing ratty sweatpants and an old college t-shirt. Nothing like the put-together woman who had denounced our divorce with her friend group audience. We need to talk, she said as I approached. Her voice was shaky. I'm listening. This has completely gotten out of hand. I never wanted things to go this way. I thought, how exactly did you want things to go, Anna? You announced you wanted a divorce in front of 3 witnesses. I filed for divorce exactly like you asked. This is literally what you requested. I thought we'd talk about it first. Work through our issues. I didn't think you'd just completely give up on us. Work through what specifically? Your 7-month affair with Blake? The dozens of hotel meetings you charged to our joint credit card? The lies about working from home while you were actually spending afternoons with your personal trainer? Her face went completely white. How did you? Doesn't matter how I found out. What matters is you made your decision. You wanted out of this marriage. You wanted to be with Blake. You got exactly what you asked for. I'm just facilitating your stated goal as efficiently as possible. Blake and it wasn't. It's not what you think. We were just. I have screenshots, Anna. 7 months of messages, credit card statements showing twice-weekly hotel visits. I know exactly what it was. She started crying, which would have been more effective if I had not spent the past week processing the betrayal. I made a mistake. I got caught up in something and didn't know how to stop it. But I don't want to lose everything we built together. You chose to cheat. You chose to lie about it for 7 months. You chose to plan that whole theatrical divorce announcement with your friends instead of having an honest conversation with me. Every single one of those choices has consequences. But the house was supposed to be ours. We built a life there together. The house is mine. Purchased 3 years before I met you. Mortgage payments from my account. Your name was never on the deed. That's not fair. I almost laughed. What's not fair is you conducting a 7-month affair while planning your exit strategy. What's not fair is you trying to take half of everything I built before you came along. You want to talk about fair? I could drag this affair through court proceedings publicly. I could make sure everyone in your professional and social circle knows exactly why the marriage ended. Instead, I'm offering you a clean exit with what you're legally entitled to. I can't afford my own place on just my salary. You should have considered that before sleeping with your personal trainer twice a week in hotel rooms charged to our joint credit card. She tried several more tactics over the next 20 minutes, bargaining, I'll end things with Blake completely, promises, I'll do whatever it takes to fix this, deflection, my friends pressured me into thinking the marriage wasn't good enough, straight up lies, I was going to tell you about Blake before making any decisions. I listened to all of it with the same calm detachment I use when vendors try renegotiating contracts at the last minute after they have already missed their deliverables. Let them exhaust all their arguments, then calmly restate the original terms. Patricia sent you a fair settlement offer, I said when she finally ran out of tactics. It gives you exactly what you contributed during the marriage and your fair share of jointly acquired assets. I keep what I had before you arrived. Sign it and we're done in 60 days. And if I refuse to sign? Then we go to court where I present detailed evidence of a 7-month affair conducted with marital funds, and your attorney tries to convince a judge why you deserve more than the law entitles you to despite that conduct. Your choice. She signed the settlement agreement 3 days later. According to Patricia, Anna's attorney had tried one last attempt at negotiating better terms, but the evidence made it impossible. The house documentation was ironclad. The retirement account divisions were mathematically fair. There was no legal ground to demand more. The settlement was straightforward. Anna got her share of marital assets accumulated during the 7 years, roughly $23,000 from joint savings, and her portion of jointly purchased furniture and household items. I kept the house, my premarital retirement funds, and my vehicle. She kept her car and her own retirement accounts. No support payments. No ongoing financial obligations. A clean legal separation that reflected the reality of our situation. The next month was pure logistics, separating joint bank accounts, dividing furniture we had purchased together, scheduling movers to get her stuff out of my house. Anna took everything that was hers and moved in with Beth temporarily. Her social media went completely quiet. No more empowerment posts. No more brave declarations of choosing herself. Blake's Instagram scrubbed all mention of her entirely. Through Tyler's network I heard that Anna had tried getting her position back at the law firm, but they had already filled it with someone else. She ended up taking an administrative position at a medical office, making about 30% less than her previous salary. The friend group completely collapsed. Kristen was going through her own divorce. Lauren had been dumped by her boyfriend. Beth's husband apparently put his foot down about the entire toxic dynamic and banned the group from meeting at their house. The support system that had enabled and encouraged Anna's decisions evaporated the moment everyone started facing individual consequences for their collective terrible advice. Meanwhile, I threw myself into work with renewed focus. Without the constant background stress of a deteriorating marriage, my performance actually improved. I got promoted to senior logistics manager with a $12,000 salary increase plus better bonuses. The divorce finalized exactly 60 days after she signed the settlement. Patricia sent me an email with the official decree: "Congratulations, you're legally single again. Go live your best life." I took Duke, my rescue dog and the best decision I made in years, for an extra long walk that evening. Stopped by the animal shelter where I had adopted him and donated the money I would have spent on Anna's half of the house. Seemed like better karma. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into Lauren at a grocery store. She looked genuinely embarrassed and tried making awkward small talk. "Hey Luke, how have you been?" "Good. You?" "Honestly, it's been rough. I didn't realize how much we all screwed up until it was too late and everything fell apart." "Yeah, consequences have a way of clarifying reality." She hesitated, then said, "For what it's worth, I'm really sorry. We genuinely convinced ourselves we were helping Anna find happiness, but looking back we weren't helping her at all. We were just validating her worst impulses and enabling terrible decisions." "I appreciate the honesty. Anna asks about you sometimes, wonders how you're doing, if you're dating anyone. She can keep wondering." I paid for my groceries and left. Some apologies come too late to fix anything. For months post-divorce my life had settled into a comfortable routine that actually made me happy instead of just functionally content. Work was going great. The house was entirely mine and decorated exactly how I wanted. Duke was the best decision I had made in years. Guys, we are so close to hitting 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.